Okay, so we are epic at just innovation, creative problem solving, to help stimulate entrepreneurship at that local level. There are principles of entrepreneurship that can be taught. Yeah, okay, so I'm the founder and editor at NZentrepreneur.co.nz. Basically, we run a website dedicated to inspiring, educating, and informing New Zealand founders, entrepreneurs. So our tribe, if you like, our passion is with the Kiwis out there who may have an idea in their head, or a problem they want to solve, or a cause they want to work towards, and looking to bring that to life through mechanism of a business or, say, a social enterprise. So basically helping Kiwis take ideas and giving them the encouragement, insights, and connections to bring them to life.
Yeah, awesome. So can you share a little bit more about what that journey's been like over the past 12 years?
Yep, so NZ Entrepreneur has been published, as you say, for 12 years. So 2012 is when we launched NZ Entrepreneur. I guess it was solving my own problem. As an entrepreneur, founder, I started my first business shortly out of uni, after a couple of years in the workforce back in 2000, and I've essentially been building businesses ever since. I think last count, something like 15 or 16 different products, services, or initiatives created and bought and sold to market over the last 20 odd years, over eight or nine separate business units. So I've had quite a bit of experience in standing up various early stage businesses in all sorts of different industries. And in 2012, myself and other founders I knew were looking around on the internet for a New Zealand-based content portal that served specifically New Zealand founders with New Zealand content. And so in order to solve that problem, we thought, well, let's just do it ourselves. There's a theme that runs through all of my business experiences over the years, which is, I don't think we've ever launched a business in which I had any domain knowledge or experience in before. And publishing and media along the same, exactly the same. So, no publishing experience or, media experience per se, but, an idea and sort of gap or problem that we wanted to solve, and we back ourselves to be able to solve these problems. 12 years later, here we are, and the business media landscape in New Zealand has changed quite a lot in that 12 years.
Yep.
It's been an interesting space to navigate, but I really think that because we didn't have previous media experience, we were able to enter the industry with no preconceived ideas about how things should be done or have always been done. And I think that's actually quite a valuable, asset.
Yeah.
Can be when you're coming at it with completely fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I've been, as I said, building businesses, working with entrepreneurs, for a number of years already. And I actually got my first insights into what we would now call the New Zealand startup community. Back in 2002, I was actually lucky enough to be seconded to one of the first startups that went through the Icehouse program, incubator program, right back in 2002. I think they only opened their doors in 2001. And so for 6 months there, I got to work in amongst this company. It was called Mobile Commerce Limited, MCOM, at the time, and got to know. That was my introduction, if you like, to the startup community.
Yeah.
And of course, back then we were just coming out of the .com thing, right? We were all talking about .coms and the aftermath of that boom and bust. So now some 20 odd years later, it's been really interesting to watch the development of the, the startup community / ecosystem, as we call it.
You talked about that there have been a number of different changes, I suppose, over that time. What would you say are probably the main changes that you've observed?
Yeah, so 20 odd years ago, as I said, we were still talking about .coms, and I guess even the word startup wasn't really used that much in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Now, 2024, even my mother knows what a startup is. I like to joke. But so it's been great in that there's been a better and deeper understanding about the role of entrepreneurs in our society, how important they are for our economies, our community building. And
would you even say that's in like the education sector now?
Getting there, absolutely. And there's initiatives within the education sector, which one of the longest standing is the Young Enterprise Trust and the Young Enterprise Scheme. Been doing an amazing job trying to introduce the concepts of entrepreneurship and enterprise to young New Zealanders right back since I think the late 90s, mid 90s. But now we're seeing you can go to courses in entrepreneurship at most of the universities now. You can major in it and you can get a degree in entrepreneurship if you wanted. And I think that's part of just signifies what I was talking about, that greater awareness now of the role of entrepreneurs and how important they are. And I think it's a good thing, right? Because now we've got several studies over the last few years with younger people. When they ask them, what are your aspirations to be when you grow up? We're seeing more and more, entrepreneur or startup founder, business owner coming up in those top 2 or 3 places, whereas potentially 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case, right? Because entrepreneurship was still, I don't know, I feel like there was something almost a bit sort of, not slimy or sleazy, but it was a bit of a, if you said you're an entrepreneur 30 years ago, people sort of look at you sideways. It's like,
maybe you just don't have a
what
job.
really is, exactly. Maybe you don't have a job. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah.
And thankfully now it's changed, and I think the world's better for it.
Yeah. Awesome. And what would you say is probably one of the most, or what do you find most exciting about the startup environment in New Zealand?
So as I said, even since 2012, since we've been running NZ Entrepreneur, and I've been watching the evolution of this whole space for 20 something years, and I think now it's just that we're at that point now where if you look across New Zealand, pretty much every region, every township or major cities certainly have some sort of focus within their economic development teams around supporting early stage entrepreneurs. Certainly with the proliferation of the internet and digital, the growing awareness that we can now build a high growth tech startup from anywhere in New Zealand. That's certainly been a game changer. And so now we can have economic development teams, councils, so on and so forth, innovation hubs set up throughout the country, designed to specifically encourage more local entrepreneurs, help them, maybe think a bit bigger rather than just setting up another small business. That's fine, we need those, but we also need more Kiwis thinking bigger with bigger ideas. And they can now come from, doesn't matter whether you're down the bottom of the south or top of the north or somewhere in between. We've got that ability through our connectivity, and increasingly a more well-developed startup support network and ecosystem to help potential founders. So never been a better time to be a founder in New Zealand.
And with that, is that coming from, I suppose, government initiatives or just founder initiatives, the community itself?
A little bit of both. They talk about the best startup ecosystems, right, are founder-led. So, almost happen organically, where you will find throughout the world clusters, if you like, of entrepreneurial type people, potentially working in similar areas, could be within an industry vertical or with a particular type of technology or in a particular market, who just naturally start to gravitate. And, one founder meets another founder. What are you working on? I'm doing this. You're doing. Oh, maybe we should catch up for a drink every so often. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Share notes. Maybe we can help each other. Maybe you've been in situations that I'm now facing, and I could learn something from you. So that always tends to happen somewhat organically. But I think there's increasingly been an awareness that government, central or local, can actually help tip the scales a bit in favour of that happening faster, more often. So there are some things that can be done to move the needle, if you like. To help stimulate entrepreneurship at that local level. If you think about the life cycle of a founder who may have an idea on day one or day zero, by the time they've maybe explored that, and validated it, and decided to pivot or persevere, find another problem, that could be anywhere from a few weeks if they really know what they're doing to a few years. And then if they do push ahead and actually go ahead and launch that business and try and bring it to market, that's another journey on its own. And you need to be prepared. If you're serious about building a business, you need to be prepared to put in potentially 20 years. This is what I recommend. 10 at the minimum. But if you can say, yes, I've found a thing that I can see myself working at because I love it so much, or I'm so passionate about solving this problem or bringing this thing to the world, that I can absolutely give 20 years. Now you're in a better stead. But what it means is that from go to woe, it's quite a long cycle. And what we want to see, of course, and when it starts getting really interesting, is when those founders come out the other end, hopefully having had some success, and now they're in a position to start building another company, maybe bigger, better. They've got a bigger vision in a shorter time frame, but also now maybe they're in a position where they can start investing in other startups, right? If they've done well from their own business, and or mentoring, getting involved and recontributing to that community, which is, I guess that's the the holy grail, if you like. It's that full circle. We help our founders on day zero, and then maybe 10 years later, they are now helping the next lot of founders come out of our region. But you really need to have a long-term viewpoint of that.
10 to 20 years to become an overnight sensation.
Absolutely, it's that absolutely. Now, if you do it faster, great, well done you. It has been done much faster than that. You can, but that's an exception to the rule.
Do you think it is almost a little bit glamorized now though as well?
So on the plus side, everyone knows what a startup is, and mainstream and pop culture, it's the entrepreneurs are very much sort of front and center now. Deal with influencers and music stars and all that stuff. So certainly it looks quite glamorous. Can do. Most media stories focused on entrepreneurship, they're generally telling good stories, right? It's about, Danny started from Mount Eden, Auckland, with this idea for a widget, and then guess what? In 3 years' time, he's now a worldwide household brand name, and he's made squillions of dollars in these. We all like to read those stories, of course, but let's remind ourselves that, again, that's not necessarily reflective of how everyone's journey is going to be. It's just not, right? We know that 80% of all new businesses are going to be they'll have failed within 5 years. So we need to temper the hype and the excitement around being entrepreneurs and getting more people into entrepreneurship. We still need to make sure that when people are choosing this journey, that they're going into it with their eyes wide open. Before you sell your house, before you tell the boss to stuff his job, go out and raise a massive loan from the bank to go build this product. I do believe we need to sort of do better at helping new founders to understand what they're signing up for.
So based on your experience, what do you think Kiwi entrepreneurs do well and maybe not so well?
Okay, so we are epic at just innovation, creative problem solving, right? We all know about our number 8 DIY, we're famous for it worldwide because we're able to look at problems and oftentimes solve it in the most simple, obvious fashion.
Yeah.
We don't need to over-engineer or overbuild or whatever. That'll do. Let's solve that problem. But also at the same time, solving really, really complicated scientific, tech-based problems as well. And somehow, for some reason, we're able to often look at these problems in a way that maybe others don't. So that's I think undisputed. It's what we're known for. That creative problem solving and sort of rough and ready innovation. But of course, then we talk about where we fall down is in scaling those businesses. To take those potential, what often could be quite globally significant businesses, and to take them on that journey and to actually go on and build those global brand type businesses.
Is that I don't know. I don't know if people still refer to it. Was it the beach, the batch, the boat, the beamer, or whatever it is?
Yeah, the 3B syndrome.
Do you think that's still a thing?
The theory is right that we live in New Zealand, so congratulations everyone. We're already winning. Right? Life's pretty damn good. So if we are now in business and we happen to have done enough to build our own business where we are in control of our financial futures, hopefully doing well. Life is good. There's that theory that a lot of Kiwis will pretty quickly go, actually, I don't need to try any harder. Right, I'm quite comfortable with my nice New Zealand-wide, world famous in New Zealand business. Right. So why should I kick on and try and make it world famous in the world? And that's fair enough, right? Business is a very personal. It's actually a personal, choice. Business should be to serve us as founders, right? And hopefully we're going to do that. We're going to serve ourselves by serving others, right? So if I make an impact and I solve a problem for the world or for the country or just for my niche, my tribe of people, then hopefully I get to do well out of that and be rewarded for it.
Do you think there's other challenges as well that I suppose hinder Kiwi founders, like from a geographical point of view?
Yeah, well, traditionally, geography has been a big barrier. We're a tiny little couple of islands at the bottom of the world and thousands and thousands of miles away from the really big markets, right? But here in the digital age, everyone knows now. Well, those barriers to entry are not what they necessarily were, especially if you're building some sort of digital weightless export, as they call them. Having said that, though, it is still very much a barrier, right? Because some markets and some products and industries, you just need to be on the ground. You need to be meeting with all the influencers, the decision makers, the other people also at the leading edge of your industry. You need to be in there and amongst it, and you can do that from New Zealand, getting on a plane and heading over to the Europe or the US, wherever you need to be. But that's a big barrier that if you were building out of the UK or Central Europe or the US, then you're a bit closer, right? You're not having to give up days at a time and put yourself through that, because that really is it takes its toll.
So is there any, I suppose, success stories of Kiwi businesses that you see as almost a blueprint for startups going into other markets or launching into other markets?
So whether or not they're a blueprint is debatable, but I was thinking about this, and there's just so many that spring to mind, many of which I've interviewed in the past, founders who have done this. And so I was thinking, right, well, how do I narrow this list down? if we go industry by industry, right, we've actually had a really good number of product-based businesses do quite well in the last, say in the last 20 odd years, right, for themselves. So one of those that springs to mind is a business that popped up not far from here. It's called Dominate Hair Product. So they provide a range of men's hair products, and if you go into any of the supermarkets, guys probably you might be using them. But this is an epic story of a barber, Shane Young, and his business partner, Anthony Gadsden. Shane was running a barber's shop in Ponsonby back in the late 90s, early 2000s, of which I was a customer. And I remember in the evenings, he would be tinkering away with coming up with a new formula for a hair product that he believed his customers in the market needed. There was a gap for this. Yeah. So the classic, in the evenings was mixing up weird chemicals like, George's Marvelous Medicine type scenario.
Were you one of the experiments?
I'm sure I was, yeah. I'm not sure if he ever actually said, hey Richard, I've just tried this new formula and it may make all your hair fall out, but let's go for it. But I no doubt, I know that having the barbershop was part of this customer product development story. They are, again, so where are we? 24 years later. They're a $50 million year of business. Probably one of New Zealand's biggest beauty slash health, not health, but beauty product and cosmetic businesses. They are, they got into Coles in Australia fairly early on in their journey. I think mid 2000s, late 2000s. And I know Shane and the team, he's a little bit more hands off now, but are just about to enter the States, right, and penetrating into some big chains over there. Yeah. Right. So to me, that's just a really cool story. Brianne West with Efik, another sort of in that beauty slash cosmetic zone, also done really well. And the thing I like about the Dominate story is that again, it's just so tangible. Like literally, they made a tangible product out of some gunk, some goo, and found it right, got it right, and through a lot of hard work but also vision, said right, well, let's just make this. They could have sat back and just said, let's just sell New Zealand wide and become a great New Zealand product. Yeah. But for whatever reasons, decided no, let's share this goodness with the world. A couple of other in the product space, we had 42 Below Vodka was really at the time, early 2000s, mid 2000s again. It was a story that blew up. Jeff Ross and his wife Justine Troy built this vodka brand out of New Zealand. Like probably one of the last countries in the world anyone ever expected to see a premium vodka come out of, and of course built that brand massively and did very, very well out of it.
Are there government initiatives or programs that you recommend to people, or that you think people don't know about and should know about as part of their journey?
I think as an entrepreneur, your job is to seek out and find and absorb the information that's going to help you, no matter where it comes from. As far as government initiatives, so we've got programs which are developed and delivered at a regional level. I'm talking here, at the innovation hub level. So a good example of that is, say, Startup Queenstown Lakes, right? Which and just moved back to Auckland from Wanaka. Was privileged enough to help be part of Startup Queenstown Lakes, establishing that trust, and the team down there is doing a great job of delivering some programs to local entrepreneurs, connecting them with the people who can help them take their idea from A to Z, stimulating investor interest. And so, that's funded by regional government, right, local council. And so I'd recommend to all entrepreneurs, no matter where you are, is to absolutely look around you to see what is available to you at the regional level. Right? Often with the help of government funding, sometimes that also ends up coming through central government, right, into the innovation hubs who, will then feed out this money to other organisations at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
So, recently we've seen the Startup Aotearoa initiative come out of Callaghan Innovation, and supported by a number of the entrepreneur or innovation hubs around the country. There's a whole bunch of grants, again, offered through the likes of Callaghan Innovation.
Yeah.
Could be a new to R&D grants, Trailblazer grants. There is no free money. Let's put it this way, right? If you're a founder out there with an idea, saying, great, I've got this wicked idea, it's going to change the world.
Yeah.
All I need is some money, right? There is no free government money for you. Does not exist. So, your job as a founder is to go and find that money from other sources, raise the investment, pre-sell your product, whatever you need to do. But there are absolutely some programs from government which can help you along the way.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not free money, is it?
Damn. What would you say, sort of going through all of your journey to date, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received, and how would you say that's kind of impacted your work and what you do?
I don't know if it was a piece of advice I got, but something that's always stuck with me was the notion of working harder on yourself than you do on your job. That somehow entered my consciousness, luckily, fairly early. So I've always been a great believer in ongoing, continuous learning and self-development.
Yeah.
The answers to all the problems out in the world that you think you have are not out there. They're inside you, right? As I say, don't wish for life to be easier. Wish for yourself. Wish to be better.
Yeah.
And you really need that sort of mentality as an entrepreneur, because no one is going to do it for you. If you're thinking, I can't do this because I don't have that, or this situation isn't right, or those people aren't playing nicely with me, or I'm not getting the help I need, whatever, well, you're already losing the entrepreneurial battle.
Yeah.
Because your job as an entrepreneur is to find a way, in spite of the lack of all of those things. That's what your job is. So don't be complaining about it, right? When it's hard. Understand that what you need to do is if it's something you don't know how to do, you've got to learn how to do it, or find someone who knows how to do it.
Yeah. If
there's a mental block you've got, or some sort of subconscious limitation, which ultimately we all have, then you've got to go and find out and explore it and overcome it. So always be learning. That's the major thing that stuck with me.
Yeah, awesome. And what do you see, I suppose, in light of that and just the environment that we're in, obviously, as well, is some of the emerging trends happening in like the New Zealand startup ecosystem over the next couple of years?
The trend that I'm excited about is the education trend.
Yeah. So
now there are an abundance of programs, courses, thanks to obviously the internet, videos, podcasts, right? Never before has the entrepreneur had so many opportunities to learn and accelerate the journey as they do now.
Yeah.
So that's a big trend that I'm really, excited about, thankful for. And the other one is a growing consciousness around how we treat ourselves as founders and each other as founders. So founder mental health and well-being.
Yeah.
So in our excitement to get more people to be entrepreneurs and to encourage them on the journey and whatever, we can't forget that actually, as I said before, this is serious stuff, right? It can have a serious toll on your mental health, your energy, when you sign up for this journey. And thankfully there's a growing awareness of the toll that it can have on founders and business owners in general.
Yeah.
And the awareness is half the solution. If we're more aware of what what founders go through,
Yeah.
can go through,
Yeah.
and are more sensitive and compassionate to what they might be going through, then hopefully, we're not going to have so many founders, Kiwis, burning themselves out.
So what's on the cards for NZ Entrepreneur then over the next kind of 6 to 12 months?
Cool. Good question. 6 to 12 months. Tell more entrepreneur stories. We're growing the team, which is great. Getting some great new people coming on board to help expand our capacity there. And maybe, a little bit further out, working on a new platform, which is going to be better than NZ Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be informed with 12 years of learning and experience running NZ Entrepreneur. So and again, it's a way that I'm looking to make more impact. And help keep telling the New Zealand innovation stories. Help inspiring more Kiwis to not give up on those ideas. You can do it. You can learn how to be an entrepreneur if you want to. It's not easy, but you can do it. Really just stoking the fires, if you like, and getting more people into entrepreneurship, connecting them with the resources and knowledge that's going to help them.
Great. Excellent. Well, thanks for coming in today, and thanks for sharing your stories with us as well, and telling us more about NZ Entrepreneur.
Cool. No worries, Danny. It's great to be here.